Burton and I'm an aeromodeller and an engineer. Join me on a fascinating journey where I show you some of the techniques used in scale aeromodelling. I thought I'd just do another quick video just to show you where we're at, because I think I did such a rubbish job of explaining how this all works that I was better off showing you in reality. So this is it, more or less finished. Still need to make that little notch a bit bigger, but anyways, more or less finished. So I've used 3 of the clamps. I've gone back to using nuts and bolts rather than these blind nuts, because with the blind nuts I could only get 2, which meant the middle one couldn't be used. And I want the middle one as well to give me a little, a really solid mount. That's the whole idea. As I say, I will recess that notch a little bit more to allow that screw to go right to the bottom, and I'm also waiting for some slightly shorter screws as well, because I don't need that much unthreaded. But I think you can see what the idea was from this. So the bolt goes through the top of the steel tube and remains on the model. These all remain bolted in and everything else. Okay, then you've got your leg, which is the second one. I did this one today. Believe it or not, this is the third leg, because the second leg was 5mm too short, so it went in the bin. So this is the third leg, but actually I'm getting this really down to a fine art now. That's beautiful and smooth. It's lovely. So I'm really pleased. But the top, there's the hole that goes right through to lock it, and there's the channel section, which started as a drilled hole, and then I cut through with a saw and then filed it all with a needle file. Took hours to get that slot. So the way it works, if you imagine this is in the wing of the aircraft, you take your leg, push it into the slot, goes all the way to the top, and it clicks in to that joint there. Now the leg is free to fall out. It wouldn't at the moment because it's a good tight fit, but you can see it's wobbling and stuff like that. So that's where this bolt comes in. Now if you recall, I was going to bring it in from the side, but I've decided that's just going to be a lot too complicated, much too complicated. So I'm going to go back to Dave Woomsley's original idea, and that's to drill a hole in the leading edge, a small hole, just to take the driver, not the head of the screw, but just the driver. And that screw goes in there, goes right through, and there'll be a blind nut on this side. So with your driver through the leading edge, you tighten that up, and then the leg cannot get out. It's locked in. Okay, so if you want to take the leg out, you undo the screw, and pull the leg out and knock everything off the bench. This will get freer in time. You can bet on it. So, and to get that screw out as well, I am mildly concerned that I need that to come out easily, because if I can't pull it out, it's going to be inside the wing, and if I've undone it and it's not come right out, I'm not going to be able to get the leg out. So I've got to figure out a way of spring loading that so it comes right out. All right, and actually it doesn't need to do anything other than just go in, and even that far is enough to do anything. Tightening up doesn't make it any tighter. It's just a locking pin. So it could be a pin on the end of a piece of piano wire, really. Anyway, I'll think about that amongst all the other things I've got to think about. But there we go. I hope that explains how the leg is locked in. I don't think I'll do it this way again. It's way too complicated. There you go. Just as a quick and final addendum to that, let me just show how I came, what I've done in the end. There's a plastic tube, styrene tube, that fits in the leading edge of the wing, and you simply reach in, unscrew the 3mm bolt, and it has to go a long way. It's quite a long thread, as you remember from what you've just seen. But then when you get to the more or less the full length, springs out. Well, if I could tip the wing forward, then it would fall out. It's that loose. I'm going to take the tube off so you can see what's actually happening. It's on a spring. You can probably see that. It's on a spring. So when it goes in that slot there, it screws up inside that plastic tube. And it doesn't need to be tight, it just needs to go in. Okay. And then when you want to take it out, obviously you just loosen it off, and the spring actually is enough, it's strong enough to actually pull it well clear of the end of it. It may not appear to come out of the tube, but that isn't really the case. It is. Actually, I've done that up too tight, because if you do the spring up too tight, obviously springs distort as they compress and you won't be able to get the tube back on. Okay, so with it in that position there, you undo it, not quite there. There you go, and then it's out. The spring can either come out with it or stay in place, and that plastic tube obviously will be glued in position like that. So I can get the screw out and I can get the spring out for maintenance or whatever, and then it just feeds in through a hole in the leading edge. Oops. And goes in a dozen or so threads. Threads. It doesn't need to be tight, but if you keep going until the spring binds, that's probably a good point to stop. If this was IC powered, then the vibration might shake this screw loose, and I might need to use some sort of thread locking on the back. But there we go. It actually does pinch up. It does pinch up quite tight at that point, and I think it's where the spring is binding. So there we go. That's how the undercarriage legs are going to be locked in.